Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. How about that Zao intro, huh? I kind of liked it. Hope you did too. Doesn't really matter if you didn't, because you've seen it now. Anyway, on with the show. It's Flambas once again. I'm not entirely sure when this happened on his live stream, although possibly 1-2 days ago. He usually doesn't hang around when something impressive happens while he's playing World of Warships, and I tend to get the replays very, very quickly. And it's mostly just a question of whether or not I have time to actually look at them, but you can usually guarantee that if Flambas has sent me, it's a bit like Circumflexes with World of Tanks, if Flambas has sent me a replay, there's probably something impressive happened at some point. This one is no different. This is one of Flambas's 2 favourite ships in the game. He does love playing his gearing, and he does love playing his Minotaur here. Now, some would say that the Minotaur has been somewhat eclipsed in recent months by the introduction of the American Tier 10 light cruiser, the USS Worcester. But the Minotaur's still got it where it counts. It's just as incredibly fragile as it always used to be. It's incapable of setting fires, unless you get some lucky secondary hits, because it doesn't carry any main battery high explosive ammunition, but it is incredibly sneaky. And it is capable of dishing out a frankly shocking amount of damage in a very short period of time. In fact, the lack of high explosive ammunition on this ship can actually be seen as something of a benefit, because for one thing it means that you don't have to blow 4 commander skill points on the IFHE skill in order to make this ship effective. So technically you could argue that this ship is just as effective with a 10-point captain as any other non-British light cruiser would be with a 14-point captain. And it also gains some compensation for the fact that it doesn't carry any high explosive shells for its main battery guns, in the form of improved penetration angles on its semi-armor piercing ammunition. So the Minotaur's still got it. Then again, in this particular encounter, the Minotaur is very definitely going to need it. Flambas is stalking an enemy destroyer here. He knows there must be a destroyer capping Charlie. Somebody's capping it, they haven't been spotted, it has to be a destroyer. So he's very likely got his finger hovering nervously over the hydroacoustic search button, ready to pop it the second he gets spotted. But, plot twist, it's an Asashio. Was that a plot twist, Jingles? Well, sure, it's a destroyer. Yes, it's got torpedoes, and under normal circumstances this would be an exceptionally dangerous moment for any cruiser captain, finding themselves this close to an enemy destroyer. But the Asashio's deep water torpedoes can only hit battleships and aircraft carriers. So, that was a very, very unlucky place to be for the captain of that Asashio. Of course, it's not a fantastic situation for Flambas either. Yes, he scored the First Blood achievement and sank the Asashio, but in doing so he was obviously spotted, and the enemy Republique over there wasted no time hammering him with his armor-piercing ammunition, knocking out one of his gun turrets, and forcing him to use his first damage repair consumable. And just when he thought he would be able to take advantage of the smokescreen left by the Asashio and avoid any further incoming fire, he's been radared, presumably by an enemy Des Moines. The enemy team hold all 3 of the caps, and the 2 nearest destroyers on Flambas's team are both hightailing it in the other direction, but not before leaving a little care package for him. Yes. Really. The torpedo caused flooding, so that means he's been forced to use his damage control ability as well, and that's going to be a bit of an issue if he happens to get set on fire in the next 2 minutes, but looking at the situation, it's not entirely likely that he's actually going to survive the next 2 minutes. He's got the Key coming around one side, he's got a Jutland, a Republique, and a Des Moines on the other side. He launches his torpedoes against the Key, hoping that that's going to be enough to sink him, and then tucks himself in as close to the rocks as he possibly can to avoid any fire from the Jutland, Des Moines, and Republique. Only 3 torpedoes hit the Key. Now he has to deal with the Key, and he has to give broadside to the Key, so he's almost certainly dead. Or he would have been, if the Key had even one of its 16-inch gun turrets pointing in his direction. How can the Key not have any of its guns pointing in his direction? How did you not know he was there? What the hell? What did we just watch? Well, let's not celebrate just yet, because there's still a Des Moines, a Jutland, and a Republique around the corner. finally, one of the destroyers and Flambass's team does something right by launching torpedoes against the Des Moines, which don't hit the Des Moines but force the Des Moines to give the perfect point-blank range broadside to the Minotaur's massed batteries of 152mm guns. There's kill number 3. Now, here comes the Jutland, and he hasn't launched torpedoes because he didn't really have the firing angle in the gap between the wreck of the Des Moines and the island to the right. Realising the trouble he's in, he tries to hide behind the wreck of the Des Moines, but, well, it's sinking, so you're not going to be able to hide behind it forever. Perhaps realising that he's going to need to get some torpedoes away to salvage anything out of this situation, he pops out from behind the wreck, but is reluctant to give a bigger target in order to get the torpedoes away, and Flambass finishes him off as well for kill number 4, and 130,000 damage done in the first 5 minutes of this map. No thanks whatsoever, of course, to the Republic sneaking around the mountain behind him, who so far has done, well, pretty much nothing. But that's not going to stop him from passing judgment on the events that you've just witnessed. In fact, a lot of the team seem to have an opinion on what Flambass has just achieved in the space of just a few minutes. Most of them seem to be quite complimentary. Which, was only right and just. He did just sink 4 enemy ships in 2 minutes, practically single-handed. But we're going to come back and analyse exactly what it is that friendly Republic has to say on the subject in just a moment, because right now Flambass is closing in for his 5th kill on the enemy Republic. That enemy battleship is passing through the channel in the islands up ahead, and that means he's going to have an extremely limited ability to manoeuvre. Not least of which because he's charging down that channel straight towards a smokescreen hiding a friendly destroyer who has just launched torpedoes. So even if they don't hit him, those torpedoes are going to keep the Republic on a very predictable course, and they don't hit him. Even if not for the torpedoes though, because he's got islands to the left and right, he can't really make any radical course adjustments. And the Minotaur has lots of torpedoes. 2 sets away from the starboard side, 2 sets away from the port side. The Republic is sort of swinging the guns around in this direction, so Flambass once again takes a minor hit, tucks himself in up against the islands. First salvo of torpedoes strike home, almost do the job. Republic pops his damage control, but, well, where the first set of torpedoes weren't quite enough, the second most definitely are. And that's kill number 5, Kraken unleashed. 180,000 damage done, and this game isn't even 10 minutes old. Now that we finally have some time on our hands, let's just go back and have ourselves a really good laugh at what that friendly Republic had to say about what Flambass just achieved. First of all, though, I think it's important that we analyse just exactly who is saying it before we look at what it was that he actually said. Of course, those of you who are watching on a high-resolution screen are probably already busting a gut laughing at the comments from our little friend in the Republic earlier. However, just to remind us, let's just take a look and see what that Republic has done so far in this game. Just to be absolutely clear, because there are actually 2 Republics on Flambass's team, one of whom actually manages to sink an Iowa. We're talking about this guy. Yes, there he is. Cruising around the back of the map, heading away from the action rather than towards it, as a good top-tier battleship should. And the first thing that persuades him to turn his ship towards the enemy, rather than away from them, is the sight of a battleship 2 tiers lower than him, lumbering into view around the corner of the island up to the north. This, of course, is the key that Flambass torpedoed and finished off with gunfire. However, running out to the flank in order to get some shots on a battleship 2 tiers lower than him, none of which did a huge amount of damage, means that the Republic now has at least 2 islands blocking line of fire between himself, the Des Moines, and the Jutland that Flambass is now engaged in a point-blank range gunnery duel with. Then instead of turning west, he continues to sail north, ensuring that he's going to have 2 huge land masses blocking line of fire between himself and anything that might conceivably be in range of his guns for at least the next 2 or 3 minutes, all the while furiously pinging the map in order to let the rest of his team know exactly what it is that he thinks they're all doing wrong. So, we're all clear on exactly what kind of battleship player this is, yeah? Do as I say, not as I do, because if all of you had been doing as I'm doing, we would have lost this game 5 minutes ago, yeah? Actually, it's worse than that. You see, while most of the rest of Flambass's team were congratulating him on sinking 4 enemy ships practically single-handed in the first 5 minutes of the game, and in the process securing Charlie, the team's only capture point up until now, so you could be forgiven for thinking that this was all a good thing. Well, apparently it isn't, because our little friend in the Republic has a wildly different interpretation of the events that you've just witnessed. You see, while everybody else is saying GG Flambass +1 and submitting compliments via the in-game reporting system, the Republic is reporting Flambass for poor play because I can't even say this with a straight face. Because apparently it's Flambass's fault that he was unable to split his ship in half and send one half of the ship over to Alpha to simultaneously cap both Alpha and Charlie at the same time. It's Flambass's fault, according to the Republic, and he's reported him for it. Flambass's fault that the rest of the team didn't manage to secure a flag on the opposite side of the map. Not the Republic. No. The Republic was on the same side of the map as Flambass. In fact, it was even further to the east than Flambass and has failed to hit, damage, sink, or capture anything, but it's not his fault. No, it's Flambass's fault, you see. Because apparently, while he was busy sinking and capturing everything over on this end of the map, he should have also been able to split his ship in two and send one half of the ship over to the opposite side of the map to do the same thing over there, while presumably at the same time sticking a broom up his arse so he could sweep the ocean clean in the process. Isn't it just amazing how multiple people can witness the same sequence of events and yet have radically different interpretations of what it is that they've just witnessed? Now, I have no doubt that the events that you've just witnessed occurring and the comments that you've just witnessed being thrown around in in-game chat are probably going to provoke a lively and frank exchange of views in the comments section of this video down below. However, in the interests of full disclosure, let it not be said that this Republic has had absolutely zero impact on his team's successful conclusion of this particular battle, because that simply is not true. So in the interests of full disclosure, let's have a look at this guy's contribution to his team's victory. Enemy Harugamo up ahead, beached on the island, and presumably quit at this point. Flambass lights him up. The Republic fires. There go the shots, and I have to admit, I'm not entirely sure exactly how much damage the Republic did to the Harugamo. It may have been as much as 585, but, well, Flambass had some shots in the air as well, so it may have been as little as 265. But either way, you cannot say that that Republic was a complete waste of a team slot. He did kill the Harugamo. And on that bombshell, that's it for today. Do let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.